It started with a broken-down bus. In January 1959, three rising rock and roll stars set out on the Winter Dance Party, a punishing tour scheduled to cover 24 cities in 3 weeks across the frozen Midwest, with Buddy Holly as the biggest headliner. The conditions were brutal. The performers traveled in a converted school bus, and as they crossed Wisconsin in sub-zero cold, the heaters failed repeatedly, leaving them stranded for hours. The toll was real. Holly's drummer Carl Bunch was hospitalized with frostbite in his feet. By the time they reached the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa, Holly had had enough. After playing to a packed crowd of more than 1,500 fans on February 2nd, he chartered a small Beechcraft Bonanza to fly ahead to the next show rather than face another freezing bus ride. Fate then dealt its cruel hand. Holly's bandmate, Waylon Jennings, gave up his seat to the Big Bopper, who had a cold, and Tommy Allsup lost his seat to Ritchie Valens on a coin toss. The plane took off after midnight from Mason City and crashed a few minutes later, with investigators blaming bad weather and pilot error. All three musicians and the 21-year-old pilot, Roger Peterson, were killed on February 3, 1959. The loss was staggering for how much promise it erased. Holly, just 22, had already shaped the genre with hits like That'll Be the Day and Peggy Sue. Valens was only 17, yet had already scored with Donna and La Bamba. The Big Bopper, a former Texas DJ, had hit number 3 with Chantilly Lace. Even so, the tour pressed on, with the surviving musicians soldiering through the remaining dates. The tragedy gained its lasting name over a decade later. Don McLean had learned of the crash as a 13-year-old paperboy in New Rochelle, New York, cutting open his bundle of papers to find it on the front page. That memory became the opening of his 1971 epic, American Pie, with the line, "February made me shiver with every paper I'd deliver." McLean wrote the song from those memories, and Dedicated to Buddy Holly was printed on the back of the album cover. The song reframed a single crash as something larger, a requiem for a lost America and the end of an age of innocence, and forever immortalized that winter morning as the day the music died.